Yes, I changed the name to Animated Atrocities because, as I've learned recently, infamous animation was already taken. On top of that, half the things I cover technically aren't infamous, but they are all animated atrocities. So, who wrote this masterpiece? Good, people nobody cares about, so there's absolutely no risk of me pissing people off. I'm gonna have to review a G3 episode next anyway, aren't I? Yeah, whatever. Let's tackle this one first. Yes, Powerpuff Girls is a good show. In fact, I don't think I'd ever be reviewing a Powerpuff episode. That is until I found a worst episode meme on DeviantArt. Top worst TV show episodes. And there's a link in the description in case you want to do your own. One episode frequently on these lists was the episode Town and Out. And yeah, it's pretty bad. Let's see how long it takes before we hit a problem. It starts with the Powerpuff Girls moving out of Townsville. Stop. 0 seconds, guys. I can't go 0 seconds without running into our first problem. In a previous episode, the Powerpuff Girls were shot 50 years into the future, where they learned what would happen if they ever left Townsville.
Powerpuff Girls, you did this. You did this.
No!
All I did was take over. It was easy.
With that knowledge, they vowed to never leave. This happened 2 episodes ago. So why are they leaving? Because the professor got a job in the town of Citiesville. Stop! The rest of the series show that the professor was pretty much self-employed, so it makes very little sense for him to get a job and move somewhere else. Yeah, he took a job offer for the top research lab in the world, but he seemed pretty well off in other episodes. So this whole concept is bullshit, but that's not why people hate this episode. From extensive research, I've learned that the purpose of this episode was to show what superheroes would be like in a realistic scenario, which seems beyond the scope of a show that had one of its main draws be childhood innocence. The Powerpuff Girls and the professor move into the Shady Inn Motel. Stop! If you're moving, why wouldn't you move into a house or a condo instead of a shitty rundown one-room hotel room? I mean, you should at least have enough money for some semi-decent accommodations. Being in a new town, the Powerpuff Girls don't know where the school is, so they are forced to take the school bus. There, they get laughed at by literally everyone else on the bus at very little provocation, and I do mean literally, as in the bus driver as well. Yeah, really realistic, guys. No, it seems like you made this episode just to abuse your main characters. You made Bubbles cry. I hope you're happy with yourselves. This scene tells us nothing. They have no interactions with their new classmates for the rest of the episode. At class, they tell the teacher that there are certain emergencies where they'll have to be excused, but the teacher gives the realistic response and pretty much ignores them. And they get covered in spitballs because gritty realism. They hear a fire truck, but can't be excused because realism. You know, writers, I kinda think you discarded your realism card when you had a man make little girls with the leftovers from his spice rack. Once, home, let's call it, they ask the professor what he thinks of this town. He calls it great because, I don't know. Normally in this scenario, the two characters say that they love their new horrible scenarios because they think that the other person loves it. It's a story as old as time. Here, however, there's no evidence that he's deluding anyone but himself. In fact, that's exactly what it seems like. He made a mistake, but he doesn't want to admit it to himself. The girls say that they love the town to keep him happy. In an attempt to make things better for themselves, they go to the Citiesville mayor, but first have to wait in the waiting room because gritty realism. After 7 hours, really, 7 hours, they are allowed to go into the mayor's office. They show off their shtick, present their phone, and pretty much get ignored. During this conversation, the girls learn that the bank's been robbed, and they see it as a chance to prove themselves. So we have a pretty entertaining car chase, to be totally honest, that ends with the crooks getting away by parking in an alley. You know, like all, you know what, you guys get the point. Girls try to get the crooks to surrender, but get laughed at. Buttercup smashes the hood of the car, which probably would stop it from moving, and the crooks drive away. They chase the crooks to the bridge, and to stop them from getting away, they destroy it, causing the crooks to plummet into the river.
People of Citiesville! Fear no more! Behold your saviors, the Powerpuff Girls!
Why does it feel like I'm watching Double Rainbow again? The police do not seem happy about this. So the girls fly off to see that the professor is still incredibly happy because he's still deluding himself. Before they can say anything, the Powerpuff hotline rings. The mayor wants to see them right away because he's not happy at all. Blowing up the bridge was a big no-no. A very big no-no. It was expensive, a historical landmark, and pretty much the only way through the town.
It's not replaceable!
So the mayor signs a bill prohibiting superpowers. The word of law travels pretty fast, as the Powerpuff Girls are stopped from flying home, like 5 minutes later. This forces them to walk home.
I guess it could be worse.
Oh yeah, because that's really funny. In fact, the episode goes on to show how funny the scenario is by having all the classic walking cliches happen to them. And finally, they have to swim across the river because why not? The girls have had enough, and tell the professor that Cityville stinks. Apparently, he hates this place too because people were picking on him at work. Right, that totally isn't a slap in the face. What was the point of this episode? No, it seemed to be to abuse the girls at every single opportunity and went above and beyond realism. I mean, how much of this was really warranted? And who wanted to see any of this? Why do writers keep doing this mean-spirited dreck? Mean-spirited towards characters who don't deserve it is not funny. Hell, half the time it isn't even compelling. It's just frustrating. If you want to do it, you're gonna need some kind of payoff. On to something that I know isn't mean-spirited. Whoop-de-doo-de-doo. Let me guess. Yeah, I thought so. Goodbye.